Hello, folks on Coindesk.com. Welcome. We've got Bitcoin pioneer Roger Ver, also known as Bitcoin Jesus. He's been entreating to the Trump administration to end the lawfare he says is unfairly being waged against him in the United States by tax and law enforcement officials. He's been stuck in Spain, where he currently is, specifically the island of Majorca, for almost a year now, where he must report to authorities every other day to make sure he doesn't leave, as he's been labeled a fugitive by the United States government and awaits extradition to the US. His crime? Not showing up to court on charges of mail fraud, tax evasion, and filing false tax returns. Red herrings, he alleges, to cover up the real reason for his prosecution to coerce his silence. So please welcome Roger Ver. Roger, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Christine. Although I think I need to take issue at this point. I don't think they've labeled me a fugitive at this point. I'm exercising my legal rights fully within the law to fight this at every step of the way because the charges against me are 100% false and I'm 100% innocent and look forward to proving my innocence in court if needed. But I'm even more optimistic that the new Trump administration will see this for the lawfare that it was from the Biden administration and just either give me a preemptive pardon or drop all the charges at this point because anybody that looks into it can see I'm completely innocent, and all the legal filings are right there at freerogernow.org. I invite anybody to take a look, from everything from the indictment to the motion to dismiss to everything else, and anybody that reads it can see that I'm 100% innocent of what I've been accused of by the Biden administration.
I saw from the documents they called it constructive flight, and that gave it fugitive status. But I totally hear you out. And when I was writing to you about this, you said if I stop replying or don't show up, it's because I'm in jail. So I'm glad you're not in jail. But I mean, how have you been doing? How are you?
It's a pretty stressful way to live life. Just yesterday, and the police tell me very clearly I have to have my phone with me and answer it when people call. And so the phone rang at about 9:30 in the morning, and I just lost my final appeal in Spain to be extradited. So I'm expecting the police to come any day now to send me to the U.S. And the phone rang, and some guy in Spanish asks me, "Are you Roger Ver?" And I said, "Yes." And he goes, "Are you at home right now?" And I just feel my heart just starting to pound at that point because I thought it was the police calling me saying, like, "Are you Roger? Are you at home? We're coming to get you now." But the third thing that he said to me after that, he says, "I'm Amazon. I have a package for you." And I thought, oh, thank God for that. But it was still like an emotional roller coaster. And every time the doorbell rings or anytime my phone rings, I'm just terrified that this is the very last moment of freedom, potentially for the rest of my life, for stuff that I didn't even do. It's like a 100% absolute lie that I didn't evade any taxes at all. My stance the entire time is that I will gladly pay anything that the law requires me. We literally filed Freedom of Information Act requests to the IRS saying, "What do you think I owe? Show us the calculations." And they still haven't been able to provide any of the calculations. And the fact of the matter is not only was I the first person in the world to start investing in the Bitcoin ecosystem, I was one of the very first people in the entire world to try and pay taxes on Bitcoin income. And we did it. I hired the absolute best professionals in the entire world to help me with that. And we did the very best job we possibly could with the information at that time. And I think we did a better job than anybody else could have possibly done. And so I'm 100% innocent of all these charges. And it's just a pure lawfare from left over from the Biden administration, who hated crypto, and they were waging a war against any business or any person that was promoting cryptocurrencies. And clearly, as one of the earliest pioneers in that field, I was a high target for them. And here I am. They've stolen a year of my life here, trapped in Spain. I'm not Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. This isn't my home. It's been really, really frustrating this entire last year, and especially recently, where every moment I think this could be my last moment of freedom, and they're going to ship me off to the U.S. and what a horrible way to be living. And so I need the public support, because we can see the Biden administration has gone after all sorts of people that just solely for being involved in crypto. And if someone's innocent, we need to stand up for them, because if we don't stand up for the other innocent people out there, there'll be no one left to stand up for you when they come after you. So please, everybody out there, please help me. And once these ridiculous charges against me are dropped, I'll be able to go out there and help the other people that are victims of lawfare as well, just like myself. So some other examples of that are Roman Storm, the guy that was writing open source software code for Tornado Cash. Ian Freeman's another guy who's just running Bitcoin ATM machines. And there's a big, giant, long list of people that have been targeted and attacked by just solely for their involvement in crypto and haven't committed any crime with any sort of victim whatsoever. All of those people need to either have the charges dropped or their sentences commuted or pardoned. And this has been, a real black eye on America from the Biden administration. But, a new sheriff's in town. Look at the amazing things the Trump presidency has already accomplished. And I'm really optimistic in regards to what they'll be able to do for my own case and these other people out there that have been the victim of lawfare as well.
Right. And you were arrested in Spain on April 26, 2024. You stayed in the same cell as John McAfee, I understand.
I
And
stayed in the same prison as John McAfee. I don't think I was in the exact same cell as him, but I don't know which cell he was in. So it's
you
possible I
think he
was,
was
but
killed?
do I think he was killed?
Mm,
I don't think he committed suicide. He was a personal friend of mine. He was just too full of life and energy, and I can't imagine him killing himself. And his wife, who knew him far better than I did, she doesn't think he killed himself either. And his close personal friends and family don't think that he did. And I was in the same prison. I have a hard time envisioning him being murdered in that prison, but I have an even harder time envisioning him having taken his own life. That seems almost impossible.
mhm.
But the short answer is I don't know.
You've been in jail before. Do you still carry scars from that experience as well?
Yeah, that was the entire reason. This isn't my first time being the victim of lawfare. Way back in 2000, I ran for political office as a libertarian. I called the ATF and FBI a bunch of jackbooted murderers and thugs in reference to murdering little kids. They literally burnt them to death in Waco, Texas. And maybe their parents were religious nuts, but even if the parents are religious nuts, you don't kill a bunch of little kids. And then they literally posed for photos on top of the burnt bodies of these kids. Like, that is not something that any American should ever be proud of, and certainly not Americans claiming to be, the law enforcement that's supposed to protect people, right? They're supposed to protect people, not murder little kids, and that's exactly what they did. They murdered little kids. And anyhow, that made the ATF and FBI really upset with me for saying those sorts of things, and I wound up being the only person in the entire history of the world to be charged with selling a firecracker on eBay. It was called a Pest Control Report 2000. I initially bought them from Cabela's Sporting Goods Catalog, the biggest sporting goods company, catalog company in the U.S., resold them on eBay. And even while I was in federal prison for selling those products, the company that I was buying them from, who had no license, was still selling them. The manufacturer, who had no license, was still making them. I literally was the only person ever to have been charged for selling those without a license. And so literally the moment I was allowed to leave the US, I left because I was terrified of the way that they had treated me over this for my political views. And then they continued to harass me. They continued to harass my family. They continued to audit me and all my family members and just hassled me year after year, decade after decade. And another example of this, a lot of people don't know about it. I just escaped by the skin of my teeth for being criminally prosecuted for being a foreigner interfering in American elections because I had already renounced my US citizenship, trying to escape the harassment. I was donating money month after month to a YouTuber making videos on YouTube, a man named Adam Kokesh, who ran for not president of the United States under the Libertarian Party, didn't even win the nomination. John McAfee actually was his running mate for that. But didn't even make it to the general election. And I was just giving money to his YouTube channel because I liked it. The United States Federal Election Commission literally wanted to charge me criminally for interfering in elections because I gave money to a guy making videos on YouTube. That's just how vindictive these people are. And they deadlocked. All the Democrats voted to charge me criminally, and all the Republicans voted not to charge me criminally. And so when it's a deadlock, they don't prosecute by default. But I had to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on lawyers for that as well. And this was in regards to the 2020 election. And so a lot of Americans won't know this. If you're a U.S. citizen, even if you're not living in the U.S., you are still 100% under the thumb of the IRS, and they can harass you every which way. And so when Bitcoin came along, the only way that seemed to be safe to be able to save me from the lawfare was to renounce my U.S. citizenship. It wasn't because I hate America or hate American ideals or values or entrepreneurship. It's because I was terrified of the way these bureaucrats in power were going to continue to harass me in my life. And I have story after story. I can go on for hours and hours of the different ways they've harassed me, my businesses, my family, and other people around me simply for being friends with me or doing business with me. Right before we went live, we were talking about the Choke Point 2.0 stuff, right? Choke points have been going on for a long time. I was one of the very first people to get debanked because of my involvement with cryptocurrency. I announced that my business, memorydealers.com, would accept Bitcoin for payments publicly in 2011. And I don't know, within a couple of weeks or months at the most, Bank of America, who I had been with for years, more than a decade at that point, I believe, closed all of my accounts. They closed all my personal accounts. They closed all my business accounts. They closed everything. And then not too much longer after that, luckily I was able to find another bank. Wells Fargo took me for a while, although when I got indicted for this case, they closed all my accounts as well. And I'm not, you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. I simply got accused of a crime, and now Wells Fargo closed all of my accounts. But then in, I believe, 2012, there were these Cassius physical Bitcoins where you could send the actual physical coin with a hologram on it, and underneath the hologram was the private key. And I was selling these for credit cards and PayPal via my website to people all over the world. They were getting shipped by FedEx. We had proof of delivery for everything. PayPal then closed my entire PayPal account for selling physical coins through the mail. Yet tons of other people were as well. And so it's just been an ongoing headache. Or another example of this, like even corporate solution providers. Like there was another business that I was investing in. They wanted to set up a corporate entity for this new business. When they saw that I was going to be on the cap table as one of the seed investors, they were literally scared to even set up the corporate documents. And they said, we can't do this if Roger's on the cap table. Or lots of other businesses that I was already on the cap table for too. They can't get bank accounts because I'm on the cap table, because I'm a felon for these stupid firecracker fake charges from more than 2 decades ago now, 25 years ago. And they're still having problems because I'm on the cap table of their businesses. And it's just been going on decade after decade in my life, and I really want it to come to an end. And I really appreciate you giving me a platform to make my case to the world. Like the lawfare from the United States has to come to an end, and the best way to bring that lawfare to an end is to drop charges against people like myself and others, and it'll put out a signal to the entire world that, hey, now that President Trump is in power, America is open for business again. We want to welcome the entrepreneurs. We want to welcome all these American business people to make America even greater than it's been in the past, which is the exact opposite message that the Biden administration was sending out previously.
Well, when you see that Ross Ulbricht, the founder of the dark web marketplace Silk Road, was sent to jail for life and was pardoned by President Trump based on his support from the libertarian movement, a lot of people are saying Roger should be next. Can Trump do anything? Are you engaging with the Trump administration at all?
Yeah, the president can pardon anybody he wants, and there's been a long track record of them pardoning non-U.S. citizens as well. And again, the only reason I renounced my U.S. citizenship is because I was terrified of the lawfare, and it seemed like a safer way to separate myself from the lawfare that had been going on against me for decades. And so, at the end of the day, the president is the chief executive officer. He can do whatever he wants within the confines of the Constitution, and pardoning a non-U.S. citizen is certainly something that he has the ability to do. But even easier than that, just drop all the charges against me. I haven't been convicted. There hasn't been a trial. Anybody that looks into it can see that I'm 100% completely innocent. I was literally one of the only people in the entire world trying to pay taxes on Bitcoin. And so the easiest solution is just drop all the charges against me, and that'll put out a signal to the world. Hey, America wants to invite crypto entrepreneurship to America and have it be based in America instead of overseas in these other countries. So let's put out the signal to the entire world that, hey, the things that made America great was allowing entrepreneurship to take place. America is going to be the focal point of not just cryptocurrency, but AI and manufacturing and all sorts of things. But you can't be throwing entrepreneurs in jail over lawfare or their political views. If Donald Trump had not won the election, I think Elon Musk, he'd already be in jail or on his way to jail, right? And he's literally one of the best American entrepreneurs ever. It's just terrifying. And ask yourself, before this election was over, if Kamala had won, so many crypto entrepreneurs would be not just leaving the U.S., they'd be looking into renouncing their U.S. citizenship. So I was ahead of the curve in terms of getting involved in Bitcoin. I was ahead of the curve in terms of just trying to avoid the lawfare that goes on against entrepreneurs when the wrong political mindset of people are in power. And so this is such a great opportunity for America to put out the signal to the world that, hey, America welcomes entrepreneurship, welcomes businessmen. We want to support this. We want America to be great through cryptocurrency. And, I was the face of Bitcoin before Michael Saylor. This is such a great opportunity to show to the world, hey, we want to support cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. Free Roger Ver, and all the information again is at freerogernow.org for anybody that wants to dig into
it. What was your reaction when Ross was freed? Do you think you share some similarities with Ross Ulbricht?
Yeah, I remember I heard about Bitcoin for the first time because of the Silk Road. There was a radio show called Free Talk Live on more than 100 radio stations across the U.S. who the radio show host of that is currently in federal prison for just absolute nonsense lawfare charges from the Biden administration. They charged him with basically running a Bitcoin ATM machine, and he didn't have the right license for that. And I think they gave him a 8 or 9 year sentence for running a Bitcoin ATM machine. Think about that. America is supposed to be the land of the free, and they're tossing people in jail for running a Bitcoin ATM machine. It's just craziness. But anyhow, I heard about the Silk Road on his radio show. I've never bought, sold, used, or sold or had anything to do with any sort of illegal drugs ever in my entire life. But I was incredibly interested by this website, and I thought to myself, what kind of money are they using for this? And when I looked into it, I saw that they were using this thing called Bitcoin. And then I started looking into Bitcoin, and I knew that there was absolutely no doubt in my mind whatsoever people would start using Bitcoin for payments on the internet as money, and it was going to change the entire world. So I took some money, bought a bunch of Bitcoin, and then I took other savings that I had and started investing in Bitcoin businesses. And that's really changed the world today. Here we are. Bitcoin's more than around $100,000 each. Presidential candidates are talking about it, not just in the US, but all over the world. This is literally, aside from AI, one of the most important inventions, certainly in modern history, and one of the most important inventions, maybe since the transistor or electricity. And it's really, really a powerful invention. And I can tell you, with all the people that are excited about the AI stuff happening, Bank of America is not going to open a bank account for your ChatGPT, agent, but your ChatGPT agents are going to be able to use cryptocurrencies. And so it's just one more example of how the synergy there is so exciting. And America should be the epicenter of it. But if they're busy tossing entrepreneurs in jail for being involved in this space, that's the wrong message. And so again, the right way to send the message to the world that America's the right place to be running your businesses is to drop the charges against me and all these other people that have been accused of crimes with no victims or are completely innocent altogether because it was completely lawfare.
What do you think about the Trump administration, what they're doing, what Elon is doing with the Department of Government Efficiency and the changes they're making in DC? What kind of change would you like to see in America?
Politically, I think it's the most exciting time in my entire life. And I was a big part of the Ron Paul money bombs and watching all the Ron Paul campaigns. And before that, Harry Brown, the Libertarian presidential candidate in 96 and I think 2000 as well, was interesting. But Ron Paul didn't get the nomination. Harry Brown never even came close. Now we have people finally talking about, shutting down, closing the Department of Education that spends billions on education and educates no one, and auditing the USAID stuff, and just like it feels like almost too good to be true that this is finally happening. And so, like, I think maybe President Trump wanted to do a bit of this in his first time around, but people held him back. But after he saw firsthand just how vicious and crazy the lawfare attacks against himself would. And make no mistake about it, if he had not won the election, he would be in jail right now. They would have had no exciting time to see them starting to dismantle the deep state. They're talking about releasing the JFK files. They're talking about releasing the 9/11 files. They're talking about releasing the UAP, UFO files. Like, what else have they been lying about out there? So they always taught me in school in America growing up that government has the consent of the governed. You can't possibly consent if you don't know what it is you're consenting to. So if they're keeping everything secret, you can't consent to it. So the more stuff they make public, the better. And there's even rumors going around now that they're going to pardon Edward Snowden. Amazing, fantastic. They should do the same thing for Julian Assange as well. These people aren't criminals; these are heroes because they're informing the public of what the government is doing. If the government wants to have the consent of the governed, they have to have the public has to have the information about what's going on. So this is, I think, politically the most exciting time of my entire life. And I wish I could be an even bigger part of it at this point. But in order to do that, I need these fake charges against me to be dropped because they are 100% fake. And they've kept me out of being able to participate in any of these things in the U.S. The last time I was able to even visit the U.S. was 2017. I mean, that was a long time ago now. And, who knows what other things I would have been able to do to make America even better if I had been allowed to go there safely since then.
I did see that Elon Musk responded to a call to free Roger. He said Roger Ver gave up his US citizenship, no pardon for Ver. Membership has its privileges. I wonder, what is your reaction to that? Would you want to come back to the US?
I would love to come back to the U.S. I can't wait to come back to the U.S. I was born there. All my friends and family are there. I haven't been able to see a lot of them. I haven't been able to see them on U.S. soil since 2017. And, my parents are too old to travel at the moment. So I haven't been able to see them in person since 2017. That's a long, long time. I would love to be able to go there and be a part of all of that. And then all the business things that are happening as well. I was lucky enough to have been born and grew up right in the heart of Silicon Valley, which also happened to be the heart of where, most or a lot of this cryptocurrency stuff got started as well. And certainly the culture was there. So I can't wait to be a part of that again. In regards to Elon Musk's comment, he's one of the smartest guys around, but I think he made a mistake about that. The president can absolutely pardon non-citizens, and America is supposed to be about truth and justice and liberty for all. I'm certainly part of all, and I'm 100% innocent of the charges that are against me. How do you think Elon Musk would feel if South Africa came after him with some fake charges and people said, "Oh, you haven't lived in South Africa for decades. Who cares? Let him go after you." That would be crazy, right? We want truth and justice for everybody all the time, and so especially because I'm so clearly guilty. I'm sorry, so clearly innocent of the charges against me. I'm not guilty in any way, shape, or form. Again, I was literally one of the first people in the world trying to pay taxes on Bitcoin, and I hired some of the best people in the entire world to help me do it, including federal prosecutors, to help me make sure I got everything right, because I knew I was a target for Lawfare. I'd already been a target for Lawfare repeatedly. I told all my tax attorneys and accountants and everybody, we have to do this absolutely perfectly because I know they're going to target me, and we can't leave any room for them to be able to come after me and attack me. And the way they actually wound up doing it is they literally had to lie about it. They've been caught lying to the court here in Spain, trying to have me extradited, where they and maybe I'll even be able to get criminal charges filed here in Spain against the prosecutor in the U.S. for intentionally misleading the court in Spain. That's just how egregious this
What do you mean
whole
by
thing
lies?
is.
What lies have they been saying?
They misrepresented to the court in Spain. They claimed that I didn't tell my tax accountants and attorneys and all those people that I sold Bitcoin. They have the emails in writing where I told them I sold Bitcoin, and my attorneys told me, "You're not a U.S. citizen. You're not a U.S. resident. That's not taxable or reportable in the U.S." So guess what? I followed my tax attorney's advice. They told me it wasn't taxable or reportable in the U.S. I didn't pay taxes on it, and I didn't report it in the U.S. because that's exactly what my attorneys told me to do. So they lied to the Spanish court and said that I didn't tell my attorneys I sold Bitcoin. Of course I sold Bitcoin. I'm the owner of Bitcoin.com. I'm involved in Bitcoin every moment of my life for the last almost 15 years now. So they just plain lied to the court in Spain about that. And it's really disgusting that this rogue prosecutor can get away with that. Not only would I like to see the Justice Department review my own case and drop the charges, I would like to see them review the behavior of this criminal prosecutor. Like, he should not be allowed to get away with that sort of thing. America is supposed to stand for truth and justice, yet they just got caught red-handed, intentionally lying to the court in Spain, trying to have me extradited. This is not what America is supposed to be all about. So they need to look into these people as well.
Well, just looking into these documents, it looks like they're after $50 million in taxes from you. And the charges in terms of that, they're saying that there was concealing of critical information, lying
We
to
just
avoid.
talked about the concealing. They are lying about that, and they know they're lying about it. They literally have the emails in writing where I told my attorneys, yes, I sold Bitcoin. And they replied, "You're not a U.S. citizen. You're not a U.S. resident. It's not taxable. It's not reportable. Have a nice day." And so they're lying about that to the public as well. Sorry
Isn't
to
there
interject.
isn't there a statute of limitations on when they can go after you? In 2014, when the government thought Bitcoin was a scam, nobody took it seriously. And to turn around years later and say, actually, it was worth something and you need to be taxed on it.
Yeah, that's another real strong argument. I'm not a lawyer, and so but my understanding of what the argument is from the U.S. government side is that, oh, if you're not inside the U.S., the statute of limitations doesn't count. But the tax that they're charging me with is literally triggered by the fact that you left the U.S. So by their logic, there is no statute of limitations ever. If when I'm 145 years old, they could still come after me for this by the logic they're trying to use, which is crazy. America's not supposed to be about that sort of thing ever. So the statute of limitations also probably ran out in regards to this as well.
They also say they claim in these documents that you and your companies owned about 131,000 Bitcoins. And at the time, they were trading about almost $900. Um, they say that would mean that your Bitcoin holdings were worth about $100 million when you left. Um, and that in your tax returns, you claimed you had 1.4 million and that you didn't own any Bitcoins. So, uh, if this were just an accounting problem and the complications of getting all that sorted, I feel like this is something that could have just been settled with the IRS rather than it escalating to this point.
Yeah, I gave all of my tax accountants and tax attorneys all of the information, and I followed their advice exactly. And they had all the information, and I followed it to a T. And so at this point, it's just absolute lawfare. And from day one, I told them, if you disagree with my tax accountants and tax attorneys decided, let us know where you disagree and what number you come up with, and show us your work and how it works. I will gladly pay any tax that I'm required to pay by law. It's never been an issue. I'm not a fan of taxes. It's no secret whatsoever that libertarians aren't fans of taxes, but I'm also smart enough to know that if you don't pay your taxes, you go to jail. I have no desire to be in that situation whatsoever. So my stance from day one is I will pay absolutely any tax that's required to me by law. Just show me what I owe and I will pay it. But they never once have given me the chance to do that. And never once have they been able to show how much money they think I actually owe either, because the fact of the matter is I was one
From
of
the
the very
documents,
first
it
people in the
seems
world
$50
trying to do
million.
this.
I mean, the documents seem to say, "Pay us $50 million." Would is that the case? Like, would you pay them $50 million to get them off your back?
So first of all, I don't owe them $50 million, but if they could show how I did, I would pay it. But they don't. They're start claiming it for I owe them the money from 2017. That's crazy. I stopped living in the U.S. in 2006 and renounced my citizenship in 2014. Why don't they go after me today? Well, Bitcoin's $100,000 a piece. Why did they wait until 2017 when they were only $20,000 a piece? The whole thing is absolute nonsense. But again, my stance is, if they can show me what I owe, and if I didn't do something properly, I will pay it. I will gladly pay it. I just want these people to leave me alone so I can live my life and help make America great again. And these are literally people that hate America and hate American values, and that's why they're busy going after entrepreneurs. I don't like taxes, but I will pay them because I don't want to go to jail. It's that simple, and that's why I hired the absolute best tax professionals to help me do it properly.
Mhm. And it appears what also set them off or really ticked them off was this talk you gave at a conference, called Anarchapulco in 2016, where you were praising BTC. Uh, you said it could be used to evade taxes. Taxation is theft. Taxation is robbery. Uh, what
Technically,
do
I think it's extortion, but you have to pay the extortionists or they will toss you in jail for the rest of your life.
Right. So, I suppose they put that in there. What's your response to their concerns around that?
That just shows how clearly this is lawfare. They're complaining about my political beliefs and using that as justification to come after me with these fake tax charges. Like, uh, it's crazy. In America, you are not supposed to be targeted for your political beliefs. You're supposed to have freedom of speech. Yet, as we've seen directly with people like, President Trump, they go after him like crazy every which way with fake charges. And if you look at what went on with Mar-a-Lago, right? They were going after him, claiming the valuation of Mar-a-Lago wasn't done to this right. That's the same sort of nonsense they're trying to pull with me with the Bitcoin stuff. Like, the whole thing is just absolute nonsense. And if America wants to be viewed as a safe place in the world for crypto entrepreneurship, they need to drop the charges against me and other people that are the victim of lawfare as well.
Roger, you're the first investor in Bitcoin startups, including Bitcoin.com, Blockchain.com, Ripple, BitPay, Kraken, among others. Uh, you're very controversial in the Bitcoin community, but nevertheless, what are your thoughts on the state of Bitcoin right now? It's being acquired in corporate treasuries, ETF filings, uh, strategic Bitcoin reserves, and whatnot.
Yeah, I think there's more reason to be bullish about Bitcoin today than ever before. I think we're behind schedule of where we could have been, but if you look at where we are, like, Bitcoin is farther along than ever before in terms of like people's awareness, business awareness, political awareness. And the thing that really has me excited, because everybody knows I'm a fan of peer-to-peer electronic cash, there are now scaling technologies that allow Bitcoin to scale and have more fungibility, right? So there's another project called Confidential Layer and Zeno that allows Bitcoin to scale to have a whole lot more transactions per second with great fungibility as well. And so, like, that's a really, really exciting development for me that's due to go live any day now at this point. And so I think there's even more reason to be bullish about Bitcoin than ever before. And again, there's this vibrant ecosystem of thousands of different cryptocurrencies at this point. This is exciting. And then AI is about to start using it. So us normal humans, we're going to have to compete with AI for the usage of cryptocurrency and the development of cryptocurrency, or maybe we'll get to collaborate with them as well. Like, what an exciting time to be alive. And the part that would probably frustrate me the most, if they were to somehow manage to put me in jail again for these fake lawfare charges, is that I'm not going to get to be able to participate in all the amazing things that humankind is about to be able to figure out right now. We're about to send people to Mars. We're about to, decode all sorts of amazing things in the world. And what a heartbreaking situation would be if I weren't be able to be a part of it and participate and add my voice and add my capital to these, giant strides in human progress.
So if you weren't spending all your time on this lawfare, what would you be doing?
I'd be focusing on cryptocurrency and AI stuff. Like this is really about to change, the entire world for the better. And it's one of the most exciting times you could have ever possibly been alive. Plus all the amazing political stuff that's going on, where finally, for the first time, and certainly in my lifetime, it looks like the size of the U.S. federal government is going to shrink. Like, what an amazing, amazing, exciting thing! And then, kudos to Javier Milei down in Argentina, that's doing that same sort of thing in Argentina. Like, wow, wow, wow. And that was the first other head of state that President Trump met with. Like, I think he's being influenced by the right sort of people.
All right. How can people reach you if they want to help?
Roger@rogerveer.com is my email. And I invite them to visit freerogernow.org. And all the details are right up there. And again, we have to make our voices loud. If we want America to be great again, we all have to stand up and shout for, hey, let's make America great again. Let's end the lawfare. Let's rein in these rogue prosecutors that are using their political beliefs to go target their political opponents. This sort of thing needs to come to an end. And I think President Trump is the first administration in my entire lifetime where it looks like that's going to happen. So I call on all Americans, let's stand up and make America great again, and support the reforms, support Elon Musk and this Doge initiative there to bring some additional accountability to these rogue agencies out there. This sort of thing needs to stop if we want to make America great again. So, and thank you to everybody that's involved in cryptocurrency as well, because that's literally one of the best tools we have to rein in these rogue government agencies.
And what's next in your case? What are you waiting for now?
Maybe later today, maybe tomorrow, the Spanish government police will show up at my door, put me in jail here in Spain, and then the U.S. Marshals will be on their way to bring me to the U.S. And then maybe they'll give me bail. But if they're already trying to claim I'm a fugitive for exercising my legal rights, maybe they'll push back on not wanting to give me bail, or maybe they'll complain about this interview because I said things they don't like politically on this interview as well, and try and use that to justify keeping me in jail. Like the fact that and people. Remember, this investigation started in 2015. This has been going on for a decade at this point. And so the IRS is literally claiming that while I knew I was under investigation, I was still busy like hiding money and lying to people. It's like absolute nonsense. It's absolute lawfare, and it needs to come to an end. And I need everybody's help to make it come to an end. So thank you for the platform to get the word out today.
Roger, thanks for joining us. You've done a lot of good for entrepreneurs, companies, and Bitcoin. You've not hurt anyone. You've helped so many people. So I hope you find a speedy resolution to your case that does not involve jail time. I don't think that's a good expenditure of our resources.
The IRS hasn't even been able to prove that I owe a single penny, right? We literally filed Freedom of Information Act requests asking them to show what they think I owe. They can't do it because they don't know either, right? And the fact of the matter is we did it right to the best of our ability with the laws that existed at the time. So thank you again so much for the time today.
Thank you.